Most engines don't fail suddenly. They fail slowly, and the driver usually helps it happen without realizing it. Cars today are incredibly advanced machines. Modern engines can easily run 200,000 miles or more if they're treated correctly. But the truth is that many vehicles never reach that point. Not because the engine was badly designed, but because small everyday habits slowly wear things down until a major failure appears. The problem is that most of these habits don't feel dangerous. They seem completely normal. Millions of drivers do them every day. In this video, we're going to go through several of the most common habits that shorten a car's lifespan and what experienced mechanics do differently to keep engines running for hundreds of thousands of miles. And some of these may surprise you. Let's start with something that almost every driver does without thinking. One of the fastest ways to increase engine wear is driving aggressively before the engine is fully warmed up. When you start a cold engine, the oil inside hasn't reached its ideal temperature yet. Cold oil flows more slowly and does not lubricate internal parts as effectively. That means the pistons, bearings, and camshafts experience slightly more friction during those first few minutes. Modern engines are designed to handle cold starts, but heavy acceleration right after starting the car forces the engine to work hard before proper lubrication is established. The better approach is simple. Start the car, wait a few seconds for the oil to circulate, and drive gently for the first few minutes. Once the engine reaches operating temperature, it can handle full load without unnecessary wear. It's a small habit, but over thousands of starts, it makes a real difference. Another common mistake involves ignoring small changes in how the car feels or sounds. Cars rarely fail without warning. Most problems start with subtle symptoms. A faint vibration, a new noise, slightly rough idle, or a small drop in fuel economy. These signals are often early warnings that something is beginning to wear out. A worn wheel bearing might start as a quiet humming sound at highway speed. A failing ignition coil might cause occasional hesitation during acceleration. A weak battery might cause slightly slower engine cranking. Drivers often ignore these early signs because the car still runs. But waiting too long allows the problem to grow into a much more expensive repair. Experienced mechanics pay attention to these small changes immediately. Diagnosing a problem early often turns a major repair into a minor one. Another habit that quietly shortens engine life is constantly driving with very low fuel in the tank. Many drivers run their tank close to empty before refueling. While this doesn't instantly damage the vehicle, it can create unnecessary stress for the fuel system over time. The fuel pump inside the tank is cooled and lubricated by gasoline. When fuel levels stay very low frequently, the pump operates at higher temperatures and may wear out sooner. Sediment in the bottom of the tank can also become more concentrated when fuel levels drop extremely low. Keeping at least a quarter tank of fuel most of the time helps the pump operate under better conditions and reduces the risk of fuel system issues. Now let's talk about something many drivers overlook completely: fluids. Your engine relies on several fluids to operate correctly. Engine oil lubricates moving parts. Coolant regulates temperature. Transmission fluid protects gears and clutches. Brake fluid transfers hydraulic pressure. Over time, these fluids degrade. Heat, pressure, and contamination slowly reduce their effectiveness. Even if a fluid still looks clean, its chemical additives may already be depleted. For example, coolant contains corrosion inhibitors that protect aluminum engine components. Once those additives break down, corrosion can begin inside the cooling system. Transmission fluid also collects microscopic particles from normal wear inside the transmission. Replacing these fluids at reasonable intervals keeps internal components protected and operating smoothly for much longer. Another surprisingly important habit involves braking. Many drivers accelerate quickly and then brake hard at the last moment. This driving style creates unnecessary heat in the braking system and increases wear on brake pads and rotors. A smoother driving approach is much easier on the vehicle. When you anticipate traffic and begin slowing down gradually, the braking system experiences far less stress. Brake components last longer, fuel efficiency improves, and the entire driving experience becomes smoother. Professional drivers and experienced mechanics tend to drive this way instinctively. They treat the car gently, and the car lasts longer because of it. Next, we should talk about something that is often ignored until it becomes a major problem: cooling system maintenance. Engines generate enormous amounts of heat. The cooling system removes that heat through the radiator, water pump, thermostat, and coolant passages. If coolant levels drop too low or coolant becomes contaminated, the engine can overheat. Even a single overheating event can damage an engine severely. Aluminum cylinder heads can warp and head gaskets can fail when temperatures rise too high. Checking coolant levels occasionally and replacing coolant according to the recommended interval helps prevent one of the most destructive failures an engine can experience. Another habit that extends vehicle life is keeping the air intake system clean. Engines require clean air to operate efficiently. The air filter prevents dust and debris from entering the engine. Over time, the filter becomes clogged, reducing airflow. Restricted airflow forces the engine to work harder and can reduce fuel efficiency. Fortunately, replacing an air filter is simple and inexpensive. Regular inspection ensures the engine continues receiving the airflow it needs. Spark plugs are another component many drivers forget about. Spark plugs ignite the air-fuel mixture inside the cylinders. Over time, the electrodes wear down and the spark becomes weaker. When spark plugs wear out, the engine may develop misfires, rough idle, or reduced fuel efficiency. Replacing spark plugs at appropriate intervals ensures smooth combustion and protects the catalytic converter from damage caused by misfires. Now let's look at something that affects the entire vehicle structure: rust. In areas with snow, road salt is often used during winter. Salt dramatically accelerates corrosion on exposed metal components underneath the vehicle. Suspension parts, brake lines, and chassis components can slowly rust if they are not protected. Regularly washing the undercarriage during winter helps remove salt buildup and slows the corrosion process significantly. Many older vehicles fail safety inspections not because of engine problems, but because corrosion weakens structural components. Taking care of the underbody can extend the life of a vehicle far beyond what many people expect. Another overlooked detail involves the battery and electrical system. Modern cars depend heavily on electronics. Sensors, control modules, fuel injectors, ignition systems, and safety features all rely on stable electrical power. Corrosion on battery terminals can restrict electrical flow and cause unpredictable issues. Cleaning battery terminals periodically and ensuring connections remain tight helps maintain a reliable electrical system. It's a simple maintenance step that prevents many frustrating starting problems. Finally, one of the best habits any driver can develop is simply paying attention to maintenance schedules. Vehicles today are complex machines with dozens of components designed to operate together. Preventive maintenance keeps those systems working as intended. Small services performed at the right time are far less expensive than major repairs caused by neglect. A car that receives consistent maintenance can easily travel hundreds of thousands of miles while remaining reliable and efficient. In the end, longevity isn't about a single trick or secret technique. It's about consistent habits: driving smoothly, maintaining fluids, paying attention to early warning signs, taking care of small problems before they become large ones. Those simple choices add up over years of driving, and they are often the difference between a vehicle that struggles to reach 100,000 miles and one that continues running strong far beyond that. If you found this explanation helpful, consider subscribing for more practical automotive diagnostics and maintenance insights. And if you've ever owned a car that lasted far longer than expected, share the mileage in the comments. Because the stories behind high-mileage vehicles are often the best proof that good habits really do make a difference.